Thank you for joining in. I appreciate your attendance. Thank you for coming in. Thank you all. So I'm going to talk in this topic today on a joint application development. Joint application development. And talking about what is the joint application development, how does it work, and what does it do, and how it do what it does. So we're going to talk about joint application development. Now, do you guys have any questions, anything for me? Whatever we've been discussing, whatever we've been talking, do you guys have any questions, etc. for me? Any questions? Yes, this is a slightly more topic about JD. You're right. We discussed that was part of. This is a more of larger, more focused discussion around JD. But you're right. We discussed joint application development. So we're going to talk today in more detail about joint application development. Thank you all. Thank you for coming in, joining into this session. So talking joint application development, this is our agenda. What is introduction, software development life cycle? We talked about that. We'll look at a little bit slightly different perspective. Origin, evolution, other names of joint application development, what JD is called, and guidelines, automation of JD, examples, and all that. So this is some of our agenda for JD session, which we're going to talk. So joint application development, what is it? What does it do? So joint application development is a process where we are working collectively, where IT and non-IT people are working together. IT and non-IT people are working together. That is called joint application development. And because people are working together in a collaborative manner to do these different tasks, so in such environment, the time taken to complete the development cycle is drastically reduced. And that is the advantage of working with joint application development. Working together and henceforth reducing the time for development. Now, if you look at the first slide, joint application development is structured around a workshop session. It's structured around a structured workshop session. I would like you guys to make a note of that term. that is called a structured workshop session. So when we talk about JD, it's basically you have in a workshop, you have a bunch of people sitting with a specific role, responsibility, task, objective in the mind. Participants get together in a room to discuss the project. Everyone hear what rest of the group will say. It's not a traditional meeting. It's a structured meeting. It's a group meeting. It's a group discussion. It's a group session. JD turns meeting into workshop. So when we talk about joint application development, it is not a classical meeting, but it is a workshop. When I say workshop, that basically means it is a working session. It is a working session. Just give me a second, guys. So JD sessions are not a meeting, but it is a workshop. Now, why it is a workshop and why it is not a meeting? Because they are not happening every day and all the day in a week and month and year. They are much more structured, much more productive. There is an agenda. There is a facilitator. This is important point, that these JD sessions has facilitator. Facilitator is a person who is facilitating the entire end-to-end session. So there is a facilitator. We are also using visual aid. For example, we are using projector. We are using PowerPoint presentation. We are using parking lots and other communication inducing dialogue, inducing mechanisms. That is why the visual aid is very important. What is the purpose of JD? To define project, define solution, and obviously monitor them. What are the JD principle or philosophy of JD? I would like you guys to make a note in the bullet point number 3. Make a note of the bullet point number 3. So what we are saying in JD sessions is, there is a business people, and business people understands business requirement well, because that is their domain, because that is what they do every day. People who are IT people, they understand their IT well. So business people understand business well, IT people understand IT well. Two different areas, two different domains, and two different possibilities. The information technology and business processes do not isolate. They are not two separate boxes. They exist together. They are one system. The business processes and people and technology must coexist, must work together, must exist together. And that is the core philosophy of JD session, which can bring process, people, and technology together. So we are not working in isolation. We are working together as a team, and we are designing, defining a solution which can coexist. The best information systems are designed when all these groups work together on a project as an equal partner. Make a note of this bullet point number 4. Make a note of the bullet point number 4. JD scope. What does JD means? What is the scope of JD? Duration, process scope, software development lifecycle scope. So JD, or Joint Application Development approach, is cover the entire development life cycle of a system. Entire. So JD can be used for business blueprinting. JD can be used for developing the system. JD can be used for testing the system. JD can be used for all other different phases of the project. It could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be 10 months, depending upon the complexity scope of a project. Software development life cycle. Same thing we talked about, but different terminology. As I mentioned to you, there's always a different terminology. Conception, which initiation of the project, understanding the business requirements, right? So requirement, this is initial analysis. This is a requirement, basically means business blueprinting. We have a design, which is transformation of business requirements into solution. Implementation, developing. the solution. Integration, if they are different components. Testing means testing, and maintenance means post implementation support. Post implementation support. Okay. JD was developed by Chuck Norris and Tony Crawford of IBM. Crawford led several workshops to prove the concept. JD became widely accepted in many companies, including data processing industry. It was done many years back. A lot of people do use JD pretty commonly nowadays. JD is quite commonly used development methodology during software implementation cycle. Evolution. So JD attained popularity in the 80s, where people started to use some like for the conducting workshop, for brainstorming sessions where you have certain ideas and you want to discuss those ideas, you want to promote those ideas, and also for motivational meetings. Also for motivational meetings as well. So for some of those reasons, people start using JDs. Then popularity of JD grew. It became a very commonly used terminology and technology. And then they start using in all different phases of for the entire software development lifecycle. So JD in fact can be used for all the phases because it's working together. It's approach which is bringing the different set of people together with a clear objective, with a clear role responsibility, with a facilitator, with a certain structure to the dialogue. And that approach can be used for almost all phases of software development lifecycle, whether it's in business blueprinting, building, testing, implementation, or others. JD was originally designed to address information system development. So developing softwares, that is what JD was originally designed for. So JD normally include in some kind of a design blueprinting, and nowadays it has become much more common. Although it started concept is start from IT systems or IT solutions, but nowadays it has been used for the non-IT projects as well. So JD can be used in IT projects, it could be used in non-IT project, it could be used in motivational speech therapy, it can be used if we are meeting with a certain objective agenda. So for any specific, not any IT project by itself, but it could be used for a wide range of IT and non-IT developments because it is approach. Now, when you talk about the JD is a structured workshop. I would like you guys to make a note of the bullet point number 4. JD is defined as a structured workshop where people come together to plan projects, design system, make decision whether IT or non-IT. Make a note of that statement. Okay, make a note. Who use JD? So as we discussed, JD can be used in a wide variety of IT and non-IT initiatives, IT non-IT projects, IT non-IT activities, is a business blueprinting, development, designing, testing. So even some non-IT, you want to have a strategic business planning, you have some kind of architectural meeting, some kind of business process engineering meeting, you have a detailed system design, you have a process and data modeling, project management. So for various purposes, we can use JD sessions. As we talked about, JD session require users and developers to work together in same physical location. Now, nowadays, it is not necessary to have physical location, because we have a lot of telecommunication mediums, conference calls, meetings, and other mechanisms which are available to us. So we can also use various other remote and virtual meeting mechanisms. So you have virtual meetings, report site. Nowadays in the actual IT project, including SAP, I have seen the tendency and I've seen that a lot of people started working on using telecommunication, so people don't need to move physically, people do not need to travel physically, and a lot of these discussions, a lot of these meetings, etc., can be conducted, can be carried out without physically person has to travel. All the beginning, once you're doing meeting and when you're doing JD sessions, traveling to the location was the only option, but that is no more applicable. Nowadays, it is much more common, and I've seen that tendency, that approach and that style growing, where people are using virtual meeting and remote meetings much more often. So JD is called as a joint application development. Some of them stick to the original definition of joint application design. So it's not just a design, it's a joint application development. So development is a broader term because the development is used to the various life cycle stages and phases of software. Therefore, it is much more common nowadays to use this JD as a joint application development rather than calling joint application design. Okay. Other names. So there you will see a lot of different names when you go into the working and actual environment. You will see accelerated design, facilitated meeting, facilitated sessions, facilitated team sessions, facilitated work sessions, group design, interactive JD, joint sessions, user-centered design. So there are various different other names which are also being used nowadays to conceptually meaning that we are referring to JD, which is a joint application development. But that phrase of joint application development has been expanded to use, and there are different other names also, but they elude their meaning, they refer to the same thing. Basic component of a JD session. So in the JD session, you are more focused, are quickly conducted in a dedicated environment, quickly drive major requirements, help better develop look and feel of the interface. In JD session, you have a different type of participant. You can have a project sponsor, which is a senior manager, C-level executives. Project lead, who is the person who is overall in charge for this specific project. Facilitator is the person who is facilitating the workshop, the person who is facilitating this particular session. He is the conductor. He is the one who is driving the discussion to a logical conclusion. A scribe, who is making notes. There could be more than one scribe also. And then people change the notes. Make sure there are 2 or 3 people whose job is to take notes in the meeting. And after the meeting is finished, workshop is finished, session is finished, they are exchanging notes and then making sure that everybody is on the same page. We have developers. We have observers. A developer means the programmers. Observer means the people who just observe the workshop and see. Normally the high-level people, their job is to observe and provide the feedback that what went right in the workshop, what were the shortcomings, and based upon their feedback, those observations we can incorporate in, enhancements and improvement in our working. SME, subject matter experts. In subject matter expert, the people who are actually providing the subject matter knowledge and providing the knowledge of the business and bringing that to the dialogue. When we're talking about JD session, in the JD session, we can have different set of people involved. Okay. So in the joint application development or in JD sessions, we have different people. And these are working together in project sponsor, project lead, scribe, facilitator, observer, developer, and users. And that picture say that how joint application development or JD sessions work. Because we have a different set of people working together. Guidelines for a successful JD session. We have a clear purpose. We have a diverse team representative, all with different areas. Every person has equal responsibility. Idea is valuable, we listen to it, we implement them. Throughout the JD session, we listen and acknowledge each other's ideas and concerns. We evaluate those ideas during brainstorming sessions and participate by everyone in very important. Encourage quieter member to speak. Make sure everyone participates. We do not allow 1 or 2 members to dominate. It's a facilitated responsibility. Everything happens, start on time, end on time. And if there is homework, it is submitted by Friday 5 p.m. EST. Timeline. JD session. Listen when others speak. Don't interrupt. Understand them. Make a parking lot. Parking lot is really commonly used. In parking lot, we have normally people use 10-minute rule. 10-minute rule. Now, what is the 10-minute rule? 10-minute rule basically is if we have something which if there is something which is contingent, if something which is not can be resolved, let's say in 10 minutes of time, we park it. We don't ever discuss in a larger group. So we take those items, we park it, and we resolve later on in a a smaller group. Don't hold meetings for the sake of it. Don't do JD session unless you have something specific to achieve. Don't waste your or anyone else's time. Don't let more than 3 to 4 weeks pass between the meetings. There is a momentum. There is a rhythm to these meetings. Decisions are reached by consensus, so there is a consensus process. But we do not emphasize on over consensus as well. There is a consensus, but there is not over consensus. Questions to ask? Are your meeting well attended? Are you involving every decision maker? Are you trying to solve the exact problems? Is the business solutions accepted by the client? Is it done on time? Timing is very important, critical. Pitfalls. So in order for guidelines for a successful JD, the first important point is very important. A sponsor not really committed, no resources. So the person who actually sponsored the project, he or she is not having a real commitment to the success of this project. They are not owning and driving it. That is a problem. Unclear goals or objective. Too many people involved or very few people involved. Not a good communication structure. Timelines are not there. Projects are creeping. Meetings are not well facilitated. Looks like we are just wasting time. Meeting is not organized properly. We have 1 or 2 members dominating. We are not letting everyone to participate. Automated JD. JD can be used in case of computer-aided software engineering tool. So, for example, CAD/CAM. You might have heard of the computer-aided designing, computer-aided manufacturing. Such technologies can be used to facilitate, enhance development experience. Some of these JD tasks could be automated, or some it can be done manually. We can use word processor. I mean, a lot of people use for JD session, Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and some of these tools. Some other, electronic meeting mechanisms, parallel meetings, group memories, we are use all those sessions. Nowadays, you have internet and web. So internet and web is also very commonly and very interactively and very powerfully used. Especially if you have people coming from the remote locations. Nowadays, I've seen you're doing a JD session and you have the people attending to many countries and different locations within the countries. So it is not necessary that everybody has to travel. It's not necessary that everybody has to just be there. It's not required. That is example of a also automated JD, where we can use certain tools like that to bring more automation, less cost to the plate. Okay. So summary, benefits of JD. We talked about JD is one of the commonly used method. You have enhanced communications between the business users and IT professionals. You build consensus, you have ownership, you reduce system cost and development time, you reduce function creep, you enhance better quality and productivity, you design cross-function solutions where you have a multiple set of people involved, and you get it done on time. These are some of references where you can find more information pertaining to it. Okay, so that is what I want to talk in this topic. I want to thank you all for coming in. Have a nice day. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.